When these photos popped up in a memory recently, I knew that I had to use them with the brand new The Good Life collection from Close to My Heart. So I'm going to show you how to do some flip flaps and some textured clouds today. Hi, I'm Katie Taylor at scrappinkaty.com, where I show you how to preserve your family's memories through the art of scrapbooking. We're going to take a quick look at what I'm using. Again, The Good Life, I am using the Scrapbooking Workshop Kit because you get exclusive die cuts. Here's a look at those die cuts. And you also get exclusive patterned papers. Now, there are a couple that I'm going to use, but mainly I wanted to use the, it's kind of a tweed for the base of my layout. And I will show you that here in just a second. It's this one right here, and I don't know if you will actually get to see the pattern, but it's almost like a tweed or some sort of texture, and I definitely wanted those to be the base of my layout. And then here's just a quick look at the patterns that come with this paper collection. You can tell right off the bat that it's really about farm life, ranch life, the outdoor life, which my family doesn't do a whole lot of. And like I mentioned just now, up until my memory popped up in my email, I really didn't know what I was going to use with this collection. But I think that this memory of visiting my dad and feeding his sheep is a perfect, his sheep is a perfect memory. And I am using the brand new Make It From Your Heart Volume 6 to do this. I love this one because it's got cards as well in the back. And then I love that they are showing you the sketch, and then they're showing you a couple of ways to either flip the rotation or add extra photos. So to start this off, I am going to cut some of this pattern paper out. Now this is that specialty paper in the workshop kit that's going to be my base. And I'm going to use this on the flip flap. So I need a 4-inch by a couple of 2-inch and 2.5-inch pieces. So I've done that, and then I'm going to pull out my Versamat. Now, one thing about this sketch is everything is lined up. You're working with strips of pattern paper. So I've got that attached to my Versamat, and then I definitely need to use some cardstock to hide that hole. And then you're just going to start laying down these strips. Now, these strips are 10 inches long. They start at about 1 inch from the bottom, and then they just go up the layout. Now, this sketch did call for the very top piece to actually be that brown polka dot, that mocha, but I really like the faux tin at the top, so I decided to use that. And then a piece of a zip strip to cap off that end makes this a perfect left layout. Now, for my right layout, I just repeated the stripes, and then I am going to also make those flip flaps. Now, this is a 4x12 piece of white daisy cardstock, and I'm just going to mimic those 4-inch stripes all the way up this side and the next. And then remember that base page that I cut the hole in? That is actually, those strips are going at the bottom and the top of this, just so it will match the layout. I'm going to erase the little adhesive pieces that I put in, and you can see right there how that flip flap works. Now, for a couple of the photo mats, I am using our cardstock. If you're new here, our Close to My Heart cardstock has a white core to it, which makes a whole lot of things possible, but one of my favorite things is just to dry emboss some lines, score some lines, and then use some sandpaper. Now you can leave it as is, you can see there, or when you use sandpaper, you'll just see that white line just pop. And I thought that this would be an excellent treatment for 2 of the photo mats. It just goes so well with that country life. And then I like to take off the dust using a lint roller. I'm going to go ahead and mount the rest of my photo mat onto that prepared piece, and then pull out my T-ruler and get it adhered down to this right layout. Now, one thing I did do on this right layout is I used a title from the Good Life digital collection. You can see here it's called Living Our Best Life, and it came from this prepared 2-page layout that comes with the digital collection. Now I am using the negative space as a template for my title. It's going to make it really easy just to adhere those letters in place, and they're going to be straight. I am going to use liquid adhesive to get this done, and then use either my tweezers or my fingers just to place those into that template. Now, while I am doing this, this is an excellent time to remind you that if you are liking what you are seeing so far, leave me a thumbs up and feel free to leave me a comment down below and tell me if you're new here or if you've been here for a while. And as always, if you aren't already a subscriber, hit that subscribe button and sign up for notifications so you won't miss another crafty video. And it kind of helps my channel out just by you hitting that little subscribe button. I'm going to repeat that template down here at the bottom. Now you do want to lift up every once in a while just to make sure that that liquid adhesive isn't oozing out from behind those letters and actually attaching the template to your layout base. So I'm going to finish off the rest of this title and then remove this and we can take a look at it. I just love it. If this was a one-page layout, I could totally just get on board with just that one page. Now on the left side, I am going to use a flip flap. So I am adhering that behind that white 4x6 photo mat. And I'm going to go ahead and get my bone folder out and really make sure that that is adhered down. And then I can adhere it to my layout base. I am going to pull out my T-ruler just to kind of make sure it's straight and really get it adhered down. Now for these clouds also came with that digital collection. I'm adding some linen ink. It's ever so subtle, but it's just adding that little something. And then I'm actually going to add some texture to these clouds. So make sure you stick around so you can watch how that's done. Now, before I start embellishing too much with these faux wood grain die cuts, I want to go ahead and add the texture to the clouds. So all you do is just spritz it with some water and then crumple it up and then smooth it out. And you can see just the texture that it gives. This is an excellent technique to use on mountains, clouds, anything that naturally has texture in its natural element. Just by spritzing it, scrunching it up, flattening out, you can get a lot of dimension and texture. So I'm going to let those dry just for a little bit and go ahead and use some liquid adhesive to put some of these adorable wood grain die cuts. Now, you don't see windmills very much anymore, but there definitely was a few out at the ranch that we're at my father's. And then I am just going to go ahead and pull some other little shapes and titles that I think I might use here in just a second on the left layout as well as the right once I pull it out and finish embellishing. So I've got this pulled. Now there is this adorable little barn. It is a two-piece barn, and I just love how they're basically the same, but once you stack them on top of each other, just kind of adds that dimension. And by using liquid glue, that really gets that adhered down. Now I am going to add some 3D foam tape on the back of it. Now the majority of it is going to be off, but I left just a little bit that did not have 3D foam tape that overlapped that windmill. Now here is where the clouds come through. I am using some 3D foam tape to adhere those down. I thought that it would just kind of add some more dimension instead of trying to adhere those directly to my layout. I did pull out some mist ink and then a blending brush just to also kind of add some. It didn't really turn out the way I was thinking it was going to, but in the end, I do like just that pop of color. I'm going to trim off the part of the cloud that hung over the edge, and then we are pretty much done on those clouds. I am going to come back in with some of those wooden stars and adhere those up there. Now, I'm always kind of torn. You know, stars, you don't see them during the day, but they're just kind of that extra little something that you can add to your layout as embellishments. I did think that this open fence on the right layout was just kind of intriguing. You know, we had fences, there are open gates everywhere, but I thought that it just capped off the bottom of that title really nicely. So now it is time to work with the sticker sheet. You can see here I absolutely love all of the stickers, but I'm going to be concentrating mainly on the strip journaling or those little subtitles or sentiments. I will take the adhesive off the back of the majority of these using my anti-static pouch and then adhere them with 3D foam tape. So I'm adhering some of these strips down at the bottom, and then I'm going to adhere one up at the top of this flip flap. And then I'll add some more stickers once I actually adhere my photos down. And we're almost to that point. I know you guys are probably getting stir crazy. You guys want to see photos on this layout, and it is coming, I promise. Here those photos are, and here is how that works. I absolutely love it. So now I'm going to show you how I made my flip flap. Now we have flip flaps. We have 8 by 12, but this was just a little bit too big for what I wanted. So I'm actually going to take my a 12 by 12 memory protector, and I'm going to cut it. Now I want that seam with the holes to line up at 4.5. And then I'm going to cut it with my cutter. And then I'm actually going to take my fuse tool from We Are Memory Keepers and actually fuse that open end. And that is what will make it closed. I'm going to make sure that this is really cut, pull that apart, and then you can see how much is left over, and then you can see how this just created that pocket. Now this memory protector was a side load, and that's why the hole isn't up at the top, but you could do any memory protector. I decided to use my cutting mat that I use for my die cuts just to kind of protect my wooden surface down below. And then I am using the ruler that comes with the fuse tool, and you just basically take that heat tool and you run it down the center line of this little ruler, and it basically fuses the two pieces of plastic together. So I'm going to speed this up. The main thing that I had trouble doing was I wanted it to be a straight line, and I kind of had a hard time, since it's on this cutting mat, I had a hard time making sure that my line was straight. So I cut a lot of that out, but in the end, it is straight enough. I just need to finish off the top, and then I can insert that flip flap. So you can see how that slides right into there. You'll open it up with the rest of your layout. And now I am going to prepare the flip flap piece. So I have cut that off camera. I'll leave a link down below how that's done. And then you just insert your 12 by 12. Feed that flip flap through that slit, and then insert your photos. And here is a look at how that layout works. I absolutely love how this layout turned out. Probably one of my favorites in a couple of months. Here's a look at that layout with no photos on it. Really cute, just the way it is. And then here is another look at that photo or that layout as it will appear in my album. And then once you actually flip it and interact with it, you'll see those the rest of those photos. So don't forget that I will leave everything linked down below. And then also, if you liked what you saw, please leave me a comment. Interact with this video. It helps me out, and it helps YouTube show you more videos of the same. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them down below or reach out to me on social media. As always, thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend.